Hello, YouTube. It's like almost around the clock coverage today, so you can see what kind of stuff happens to me sometimes on a daily basis. How busy it really is on this end. Obviously, I worked all day. Then I had to deal with Blue. Then I had to deal with the police and the trolls and the haters. And of course, I got to take a shower and get myself ready for work. I'm also doing some behind the scenes stuff, working with the solar wholesalers to get all the ads and stuff ready to go, ready to roll when I start the media campaign here, probably tonight or tomorrow. So things are pretty busy. You can see my hair's all wet. I actually had a full body shower for free. I am at the beach side right now in Cocoa Beach, heading out. But just want to let you know, even though the beach is just shut down, the showers are still accessible because they're not exactly on the beach. And if you park by business, you can walk over there, And if you go during the daytime, one, it's nice and warm. Two, police aren't really going to hassle you. If you're sneaking around at night or something, you might run into trouble. If you're there during the day and you're only there for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes to shower real quick, and you're not taking like soap and stuff and looking like you're showering. I just went there with shorts, a t-shirt. I took off the t-shirt, had my towel, and I took a 5-10 minute shower. But I do have this little jug here that I made. If you're not like beachside like I am, where you can actually go shower. There's like a whole bunch of showers I use around here. Now, because of what's going on, I'm having to spend a little bit more gas because I'm having to travel around. Planet Fitness and all these things are closed. Even food places and stuff. My roaming area has become a little bit bigger, because the resources that were available, like I used to shower at Planet Fitness and stuff, I have to go to the beach now. I have to, and there's several beaches I use. That's if I feel like driving. But if I don't feel like driving, and those of you who can't drive, you can use this. This is basically just any jug. And if you just punch holes in it, it won't work. I was telling you the other day, if you pour it upside down, water will come out, but then it'll stop because of the vacuum. When the water comes out the hole, water's coming out, air can't get in. You know what I'm saying? So then the air that's in there sucks the water and won't let any more come out. But this is different, because if you look at the center here, I wonder if this light's not working. We've been sitting here and nobody's moving. So somebody finally cut the line. I might end up screwing this line and just cutting out just like everybody else. We've been here a long time. Anyhow, I'm going to take this apart to show you what it looks like inside. I basically took the lid, see, it's just a regular container, and I drilled a bunch of holes. But in the center, I made a little bigger hole, and you'll see the straw, even though this one has like a little tiny straw with little tiny holes in it. You don't need that. All you need is a straw. But I got this straw from a squirt bottle. What I did was I cut up a squirt bottle, and I turned it upside down, and this is actually the bottom of the squirt bottle. But I put that here into my lid, okay, in the center, and see how the length of it actually covers the entire length of this bottle. So when I screw it back in, it almost, doesn't all the way, but it almost touches the bottom. It's like it goes right up to the bottom. And the reason that's important is when you flip this upside down, the water comes out of the other holes, but air goes up the center hole. So air comes up in here to fill up this bottle and allow the water to come out, trickle out, like a shower. So if you wanted to have a shower because you don't want to just have water that you put into a cup or in your hand and wet yourself, you can do this, and you can even tie it on a string or a rope and hang it somewhere and have it dripping on you like a real shower. But I don't do that normally, but I sometimes use this if I want to shower and I want to kind of just pour it on, sprinkle it on myself, like a little brief 5-second, 10-second rain shower, get myself soaking wet. Then I lather myself with soap. Now, when I'm doing this, obviously I'm not in the city. I'm out in the boonies somewhere, where nobody can see me. I might even be naked. But anyhow, I'll pour this on me, TMI, right? Too much information. I'll pour it on myself, get myself soaking wet, lather up my soap, pour it again, and rinse off. This is 64 ounces, okay? 64 ounces of water, and I can take a shower. This is what I was using when I was living out in the compound. You guys recall those episodes? I had a water catchment system where I took a garbage, a 30 or 50 gallon garbage can, and I had set it out and just caught rainwater, and I was showering with rainwater. And actually, rainwater feels really good. When you shower with rainwater, you kind of almost don't ever want to go to regular water, like tap water. Rainwater feels different. It feels better. It feels, I don't know how to describe it. It's just more refreshing. So I used to shower with rainwater because I would just collect it. Now with the circumstances the way it is right now, because I'm actually living in the van and sometimes the RV on the weekends, I don't really have the opportunity right now to be out somewhere, setting up a little rain catchment system. Although I may go ahead and set up a rain catchment. Lights are on for some reason. I may go ahead and set up a rain catchment in the RV and have it actually catch rainwater for use in the RV. So you might see that system being built. But just something you can do. You can use any jug or anything. It doesn't really matter. But if it has a bigger tip like this, it's better, because then you can make it more like a shower head. But if you want to conserve water, don't punch too many holes. This one has a lot of holes, so when I pour, a lot of water comes out. So if you want to conserve water, you might start off with fewer holes and see how many holes you need as a minimum for you to be able to enjoy the shower. So it's one way of getting a shower. And some of you are like, well, what about temperature of the water? Well, if you wanted warm water, you could heat it up. Get a butane stove if you wanted to, or let it sit out in the sun and it'll heat up so you can have hot water. Now, the showers that I'm taking on the beach side, like I said, Florida beaches have free showers all over the place, okay? They're cold. So I'm glad to be in Florida right now. The ambient temperature outside is about 80-something. Shower felt a little bit cold, but doable, not like shivering cold. It was refreshingly cold. And, urges you to get done in I got to merge on here if this guy will let me merge. He's being an idiot, not letting me merge. These morons aren't letting me in. What idiots. Road is closing and they want to race me and not let me merge on. Stupid. But anyhow, basically, you can shower, okay? Just get some water, and you can get water, like I said, from a gas station. They typically have them. Some parks may still be open, but a lot of local parks I see are closed. I am now getting my water from either a gas station or from work. I am so blessed right now that, my job, I have access to a lot of stuff. I have access to water, so I can shave, like normally I would shave in the bathroom at Planet Fitness or something. But now I have to shave at work. And what I do is I take a break or something. I do it in the morning, show up early. So I do need to shave in another day or so. But it allows me to maintain my cleanliness. The other issue is going to be like laundry. If you're not working and stuff, like when I was living out in the woods. For those of you who don't know what the heck I'm talking about, if you're new to the channel, you want to look at the playlist, the bushcraft survival stuff that I did. It wasn't really true bushcraft, but it was urban survival in the woods. And you actually get to see how I turned garbage into a little hut, a little way station. And then later on, I built a yurt. I built a little cheap, kind of an experiment to see if it could be done. I built a frond leaf yurt, and then I built a better one out of tarp, Dollar Tree tarp, which wasn't that strong, but it lasted. And then eventually, I built a little hut. So all those are on the playlist, various playlists. So check out the playlist and you'll see how I did it, how I lived out there, pretty much without money. I had a little bit of money, but like maybe $100 to build everything. And if you're in your van and you have a container, you do have a shower. Take it with you. You could buy some shower curtains, possibly from Dollar Tree if you want to go really cheap, and some hooks, the little metal hooks. And I had an episode on the build out of Little Blue where it shows how I built a shower in the back, a standing shower, so you could actually stand up and take a shower in privacy. Obviously, you don't want to do that kind of stuff in a Walmart parking lot or even in the city, unless you find a back alley somewhere where nobody's going to come up on you. But I would recommend doing that out where there's no people. So your chance of getting interrupted while you're taking a shower is smaller. Go out in the boonies. But I'll be showing you some of the stuff that I've set up out here just to give myself a little space, a little bit of I guess you would call it my little get back to nature. I have been looking for and establishing some relaxing spots where I can go and just get away from people. Because being in the city right now, this particular area, I don't think we're really under quarantine. They're kind of telling people to kind of stay away from people, doing the whole social distance thing. But as far as I know, it's not a mandatory quarantine, although there are police everywhere out there just monitoring people. But it's not like official quarantine as far as I know. They may be official closures of like the beach and the parks. So if you're there, expect the police to come up to you. If you're taking a shower at one of those spots I told you about, chances are, if they approach you and you just let them know that you're homeless and you're just taking a shower and you'll be done, they'll probably let you go and leave you alone. They might warn you not to come back. They're not going to give you a hard time. It'd be stupid of them to take you into jail, really, or confiscate your vehicle. Or I don't think that's what they're out to do, But if you shower and they see that's all you're doing, they might not say anything. If they get to know you, they might let you do it without an issue. One of the things that I often encounter and, haven't really covered in the past is that sometimes when you stay at certain spots, because you see the police do patrol, even though you don't know it, while you're sleeping in your van at night, the police come by and they actually check up on you. Like even at Walmart, the police know, like, the homeless people, sort of. They might they might have never met you as far as speaking to you or anything like that, but they know you from your tag, your registration and stuff in your vehicle. They drive by at night and they scan it. And then, because sometimes I catch them and sometimes I talk to them. But they'll actually scan the stuff and make sure that you're not wanted or anything, that you're not like running from the law, And then they will actually, I hope they don't lock me in. Maybe I won't do that. I'm actually at a park, but I'm like, you know what? The sun's going down. Or maybe I'll stay. I don't know. Let me see if I can bust out if they lock me in. I'm at a park. I'm at one of the local parks because I just wanted to have a little park to sit at. And not only that, this park has a bathroom. Let me look and see if I can bust out if they close the gate. I'm looking to see if I can drive out of here if they lock the gate. Because typically parks, when they close, they will have the all right. I'm looking, and I think if need be, let me see here. Maybe I won't chance it. Yeah, there's a worker here, and they still have the park open, so that's good for me to know. Because all the other parks, they have the gates locked. So I'm basically, when I'm not actively working or whatever, because of the crisis going on right now, I'm scouting, and it does cost gasoline to do that. So you got to kind of balance it, but it's kind of important to scout. I see an area where I can bust in if I need to. Not like illegally or anything like that, but where I can drive through if they have me locked in or something. But you want to know where you can go to the bathroom if you need to, where you can sit and chill and people won't mess with you, because it's legal. Where you can be away from people. So I basically scan neighborhoods, I scan parks, and if you don't know where to scan, just Google, like, park near me, local park near me, nearby park, beach access, fishing, nearby fishing. Of course, this is Florida, okay? It may not work for some of you who aren't in Florida and other places that have this kind of stuff, but I think you can Google park near me and almost anywhere, and, it'll come up. So you'll see where you could go check out, and if it's open, then you have a resource. And some of these parks actually still have bathrooms, with running water, toilet paper, and a few of them even have electricity. They have the outlets there so you can plug in, like I'll take my rice cooker out there, and I can cook rice, you know. I can also take my little electric skillet thingy, you know, the little heating element, and I can cook food. And you're like, why would you need to do that when you can do it in your vehicle? Well, electricity is kind of free, you know, if they're giving it away for free at the parks. And I like cooking food. I don't like eating canned stuff all day long, cold. You know, I don't like making sandwiches. And even sandwiches, you need to have refrigeration to keep your meats, that's if you eat meat, cold, you know, unless you buy like single servings. You know, like if somebody told me on the channel that you could buy meat from the deli department where they just cut for each sandwich. They just make a sandwich for the day. That way you don't have to store meat. But the problem you have with that, especially in the situation we're in right now, it's kind of expensive to buy meat like that. But the other thing about it is then you're going into the store. You're running into people again. The idea is to stay away from people, you know. You're trying to do the practice the social distancing thing, you know. And I think the police kind of sit out there to monitor how many cars they see each day. You know, if it looks like too many cars, then they might end up making it more strict. So it's important not to be driving around too much. I try to limit my locations to certain areas, reasonably between distance, between work, sleeping, and access to certain things. Today was a little unusual because I went all the way out to Palm Bay, because that's where Express Tech Auto is. And, you know, I had stuff done there, so it was a nice long ride, and I was able to do a lot of stuff. But normally I stay within a certain zone, just because of expenses. You know, the cool thing with you guys here talking and stuff like that, this is how social distancing is supposed to work, you know. We have technology now that wasn't available in the past. It's like, it's crazy. It's like you, and most of you that are on this channel, we've already been practicing it. You know, the people chat on here without having to be really face to face, but you all know each other. And that's how, like, I don't think the people who haven't been following the channel or haven't, you know, gone on to pay it forward, they don't understand how it works. It's not like random people, because it's so easy for, you know, people to scam other people when it's random. But it's not so easy to scam people when you all know each other. And that's what the whole pay it forward channel is. You know, it's like, I expect everyone on there to have their little groups that know each other so that they can vouch for each other. Because when something happens and somebody asks for help, a lot of times, you know, the first ones to ask could end up being a scammer just jumping in, trying to take money for free or whatever, you know, with their sad story, because everybody has a sad story. But if it's somebody that the group knows, yeah, we know you. You know, it's not like we're gonna say you're a scammer. We know you. You've been here since way back when, and that's what that is set up for. And some people think that it's my second channel. It's my second channel that I'm setting up. You know, there may come a time here soon, like I told you, I may be leaving YouTube here, that I'll be passing it on, understands. And there's several people I know that are like that, you know, that believe as I do, you know, that our time here on earth is actually very brief, and how we live our life and how we treat other people is actually, oh man, they closed this really nice access on the causeway. I was gonna go to this park here and sit here and watch the boats, but they've got it blocked off. Although I see people on the other side. Either they blocked it off now, or those people just ignored the cones. They blocked off the causeway access to this really nice park. I'm trying to find another park where I can sit. Otherwise, it's the wilderness. Because I do have a spot, at least one spot right now that I found that is actually in the wilds. So you might see me out there again, those of you who missed me out in the woods, you know, hiding from the skunk ape. So far, I haven't spent the night out there, so I don't know if the skunk ape is wilderness. And you might hear the others, and you might hear shooting, and you might hear all the crazy sounds that we were hearing. But it looks to be fairly cool. And what's interesting is, I saw signs out there. People are pigs. They were littering this really nice scenic wilderness area, and the other people who were there put up signs, telling the pigs or the a-holes, whatever, to stop littering, which I thought was interesting. There was a sign. I was like, I wonder if this is a sign warning about the coronavirus. No, it was a sign put up by one of the others that said to stop littering. There are dumps where you can go dump your trash. Stop dumping at that scenic spot. You're ruining it. So I thought that was interesting that they made the sign and stuck it out there for whoever was doing the dumping. I'm hoping that whoever does the dumping actually stops to read the sign. You're ruining something nice. That's what they did to the compound. I don't know if you guys remember that. We went out there and, we were looking at all the gun shells, the bullets and stuff, and all the gunshots where they were shooting targets and things like that. And basically, people were commenting about all the littering and stuff over there because people were using that land to just dump stuff, which to me is ridiculous because, there is a dump, the city dump and stuff where you can dump things. And if you're on the city, you actually pay for trash pickup. All you have to do is call them and they'll come pick it up. Otherwise, take it to the city dump. But they don't take it to the city dump. They take it to wilderness and dump it. I'm like, why would you do that? And then there's no place to go because when you leave the city and you go to the few little wilderness areas, there's crap everywhere. There's trash, mattresses, TV sets. They were dumping computers out there. I'm like, what the heck is wrong with these people? They were taking the computers and they were shooting them. They were shooting them up with bullets. Anyhow, that shower feels so good. I need to scout around and try to find more shower spots because it is kind of a long ride for me to get to the beach. It's I think it's worth it, but gas-wise, it might start becoming expensive. So I'm scouting for other potential areas, or else I'm gonna have to start using my little portable shower. This is what it's looking like. It's portable shower time because it may be too far. Maybe I'll do the beach once a week or something. It's a little far. If I take the portable shower, I can just use a gallon of water and shower. And I can even use soap and stuff and just clean myself completely. When I'm on the beach, I kind of don't really use the soap. I just kind of soak down or rinse off. Just basically take the sweat and all the stuff, the stinky off. So I'm fresh every day, And that's what it's looking like right now. Some of you might be wondering why I don't take the RV now, because I don't know if you're aware, the whole situation with the RV was that I couldn't find any parking due to the snowbirds. They were all here. A lot of the snowbirds have left. I don't know if they left to go back to Canada and New York, which is really bad for the virus outbreak, the northern from those areas as well as Canada. They come here for the winter, and they head back up there during the summer. Well, this year when the whole thing started, a lot of the snowbirds started heading out, which should be ideal because then I can get into the RV campgrounds, right? See, that was when the system was closed. We're no longer letting new people come in. They are letting the people who are there extend their stay, but they're not letting new people come in. So even though the RV campgrounds have a lot of empty spots, they won't let me in, even though I can pay. So what you may see in Walmarts and stuff, some of the people around, if they left one campground without making sure that they had another spot at the new campground, they're finding now they can't park anywhere. So they are pretty much wandering around in their RV, burning up gas and spending all sorts of money trying to figure out where the heck to park. Which, after a while, I'm pretty sure they leave Florida because they realize Florida's not letting anyone park. Now, I have not yet seen what's going on with RV camping at Walmart, like for one night. But I'll find out, maybe this weekend. I'll get my RV and try to camp somewhere. And I know last weekend I did it. They didn't give me a hard time. And, the other RV people were pulling up behind me and beside me. And I'm like, come on, dude, leave me alone. Stay from me. But they were pulling right up behind me and stuff. I'm like, wow, they must be like scared or something. They don't know where to park. They don't see this huge parking lot. I suspect that a lot of the parking lots, like Walmarts and other places that allow campers or RVs, may be packed. That remains to be seen. Because I haven't, really been out hanging out at Walmart too much. Because I don't know if you guys are still hanging out at Walmart, but that place is packed. It's like constantly packed, full of people trying to buy toilet paper. So I try to avoid it. I try to avoid it at all costs. Yeah, SD says he bought one of those camp shower thingies, the little bag but you can make one of those, I don't know why you're paying for that. They probably charge what, about 15, 20 bucks for it? It's just a bag with I've seen it. And some people do that. You hang it up and then, it has a plastic bag that you put water in, about a half a gallon or a gallon of water. And then you hang it up in the sun and it heats it up because it's black. And then you use that and you release almost like an IV. It releases the water using gravity feed and it can squirt on you and then you can shut it off. You can make one of those. I know people buy them because it's easier to just buy them. But me, I look at it and I go, man, I can make that for like 50 cents. I'm not going to pay 15 or 20 bucks. It's like this. I prefer this. This is solid. It has a nice sprinkle head on it. You can tie a string onto this and you can tie it to a tree. If you want it hot, just set it on the roof of your van or your RV or whatever for, a couple hours. It'll be hot. It might be too hot, actually. If you need more, just get another bottle, with a closed lid. You can get another bottle and then close the lid, keep the lid shut, and just use the sprinkler lid on the one that you're using. You don't need to make all the bottles with sprinkle holes, because then they'll spill and make a mess. And have all the other ones sealed, only use one sprinkle head. And like I said, this was a laundry detergent thing that I recycled. They're a good size. I like it because it's, when I use this, I was able to take a complete shower with 64 ounces of water. That includes initial wet down, and lathering up and rinsing. Okay, 64 ounces. Because I didn't sit there and keep pouring it. I just poured enough to get myself wet. Then I lathered up. Then I rinsed off. But when I was out in the compound, what I found that worked really well, because I had plenty of water there because of my water catchment, I was able to take like a little bowl and scoop up water and just wet myself like they do in Thailand. In Thailand, if you like pour, you don't have running water, which I didn't when I was a kid. We had like a water barrel. It wasn't really a water barrel. It was like a container that would catch the water. And you have these little buckets, these little almost like cups, and you just scoop the water, put it on your head and wet yourself. About 3 or 4 scoops would do it. That's like 4 cups of water, 3 or 4 cups of water to wet yourself completely. Then we didn't even use soap because we didn't have soap. That's how poor the country was. You use these stones called which I'll show you here. I actually have one I still use even though I can afford soap. But it's basically a smooth pebble, and you rub your skin with it. You don't rub so hard that you hurt yourself. You gently, you got your wet skin, and the stone is smooth, kind of, a little bit rough, but smooth. And you rub your body with it, and it actually kind of removes all the dead skin, all the dead cells. And then you rinse yourself with the water, which in Thailand would have been rainwater. And I told you how good rainwater feels. So you rinse off the dead skin, and, you're fresh. You don't do it to the point where you're sanding off your body, okay? then you'd be all red. If you're doing it where you're all red, yeah, you sand it away, live skin. You're supposed to be just gently rubbing and all the dead skin will come off. Hey, you don't need to send any money. All of you who are sending money for the live stream, you don't need to do that. But if you want to do that, but what I want to do eventually, you know, if you haven't gone to the Pay It Forward channel, you want to do that, okay? Because we're like only about 30 people away. The broadcast I'm doing here really should be on Pay It Forward. I want to get that channel going, and if we get live stream donations and stuff like that, I'm going to put it into the fund. You know, just start establishing the fund. One of the things I want to try to do is maybe possibly buy some land. The issue with land in a lot of places is like they have all these rules, like homesteading rules, and you know that you can't live on your own land, and so those are things that I'm still trying to figure out how to navigate. You know, how to do it legally and not be in trouble. Maybe even work with the different cities and counties and stuff. But see, I don't know. You know, I do know that places in the middle of nowhere, like out in the desert and stuff, tend to be a little bit more lenient. But the fact of the matter is, who the heck wants to live in a desert? You know, it's really hard. Even living in a city here is hard. And you had, well, now people see how hard it really is because the resources went away. The resources that used to be available, like the showers and stuff, they're all gone. So you get to see what it's kind of like in the desert, except you don't have to deal with the heat, you know, being out in the desert area. But you're having to deal with lack of ability to shower whenever you want, lack of ability to park wherever you want, curfews, and all sorts of other little stipulations. It's actually a bit harder to be stealth camping in the city right now. So if you're one of those people that can't find a place, you know, a family or whatever that will take you in, like let you rent a spot in their yard, you know, in their parking area or behind their house or whatever to park your van or RV, try to find BLM land. As far as I know, according to the people who were on Living in a Van, the Facebook group, they're saying that the Bureau of Land Management, the land that's owned by the U.S. government, supposedly is still open. So if that's still the case, but you know, things change every day. So you want to make sure you verify before you head out there. But as far as I know, most state parks, it just depends on the state, because the national government isn't taking charge. So stuff's not even consistent in the states. All the states have been left on their own to make their own policies. That means things are no longer universal in America. Some states are closed off, some are under quarantine. They're even leaving it to city levels. The governors of the states aren't even taking charge on some of these states. So they're leaving it to the cities and the counties. So what's legal in one county is illegal in another county. It's messed up. Really, the national government, the national leaders need to take charge of the nation. Otherwise, you're not a nation. You're just a bunch of, you know, loose people. So by having a national government, you should be able to control policies that applies to everyone, so that if you're under quarantine, everyone's under quarantine, so we can get this stupid thing over with. If you have just individual counties quarantining, this isn't going to work. People continue to travel. People continue to spread this stuff, you know? So this is prolonging it. Meanwhile, I don't know if you see what the situation is with the medical front. The medical staff are getting overwhelmed. They are getting sick. A lot of the sick people are actually medical personnel. Those are the people who take care of the rest of us. And the numbers look low because if you show the symptoms, but you haven't been out of the country on an airplane or on a ship, they don't want to see you unless you're dying. Do you understand what I'm saying? I had some symptoms and they wouldn't test me. Some of my coworkers, you know, had symptoms and they didn't get tested. Some of them did get tested, but it was because they were high risk. They had just gotten off an airplane, you know, with international travelers and stuff. Or people coming from California, or people coming from New York. those are American states that are now treated as if they're foreigners. Pretty soon you're gonna have, and Georgia's a high hit area too. Georgia's right next to Florida. You're gonna have people saying, we don't want you in Florida if you came from Georgia. Now tell me that's not messed up. That, when they wouldn't let the Americans come back in the ship off the coast of California because they were saying, well, we don't want the numbers to go up. Those are Americans. You let them sit out on the ship, getting sicker by the moment, and then and the ones that weren't sick yet are gonna get sick and spread it more. I was if you want to see what's going on some of the bigger news, I'm gonna do one more last thing on it, then I'm gonna shut up about this because I think it makes people panic. I say don't panic about it because we've been dealing with similar stuff as far as the flu. I'm not saying that the coronavirus is like the flu, but a lot of people get sick and die from the flu every year. And eventually, I think the coronavirus will be just another sickness that you can get similar to the flu. And that's how people are going to treat it. If the world ever wants to go back to normalcy, that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to treat it as how we treat all the other contagious diseases, sicknesses and stuff like that. But I wanted to tell you something that somebody that most of you should know, one of the co-founders, I think it was Steve Wozniak. Was it Steve Wozniak? Yeah, one of the founders. He was saying he might be one of the earlier cases, and because they wouldn't quarantine him or even test him and his wife, he feels like maybe he might have been the one that brought it back here. At least to I don't know if it was California or whatever. He was saying that they had gone overseas and they weren't feeling well. They were feeling like they were showing a lot of the symptoms. This was back in January or whatever. And he was famous. If you look it up, I don't know if it was Wozniak or whatever. I think it was Wozniak. But he talks a compelling story about what happened with him and his wife and how he's kind of pissed because they could have stopped it. If he was indeed, he thinks he's patient number 0, the first one to bring it here to America. So he said that he and his wife had been traveling and they were really ill and sick, and they reported themselves and wanted to get tested to see if they were contagious, and they were told to just go home. And he and his wife were, continuing on business as usual, possibly spreading it to everybody. And you can see the numbers have gone up. They don't even want to test everybody because if they test everyone, the numbers in America, I think, are way higher than what they're showing. The rest of the world accepted the help. I guess China and some of the other countries, the Asian countries sent out test kits and stuff early on. The ones that already quarantined, like Taiwan, China, Hong Kong, Japan, all the earlier hits out there, they're all falling under control. As far as new outbreaks, there's no new outbreaks. They are now dwindling. They're now returning to their normalcy. America, on the other hand, is going crazy. The numbers here are exponentially growing higher and higher and higher and higher. And it's because they refuse to test people. And you're like, well, they didn't refuse. They didn't have kits. No, they rejected the kits. The countries, I think China sent out all these kits when it was first starting and China was getting it under control. They sent out literally millions of kits for different countries to get tested on the people who were showing some of the symptoms to try to maintain it and manage it and quarantine these people before it spread. America's response was, well, if you're not dying, if you're not 80 years old, go home. Self-quarantine, just stay home, which obviously didn't work. I don't really think I had it just because I didn't have the fever. I didn't have some of the harsher things. I didn't really have problems with breathing too much other than that first day I was coughing like crazy, which made it hard to breathe. But some of the symptoms are just like inability to breathe because the fluids and stuff start to form, like pneumonia in your lungs, and then you just can't breathe. But see, by the time you're at that level, you're in the emergency room, and then they're going to test you and diagnose you at that point. So those are the numbers. Most of the numbers that you're seeing right now are from people who went into the ER dying. They're literally unable to get better, and they're putting them on the respirators and stuff at that point because they can't even breathe on their own. One of the things I was trying to do with the steam and some of the other people who have been trying to pass information on is to try to stop it from getting to that stage. The whole thing can be managed if you can take care of people before they have problems to the point where they can't even breathe and they're dying and they have to go to the emergency room and be on a respirator. Because at that point, those are the people passing it to the doctors, and they for sure pretty much have it. They're dying from it, and they're highly contagious, and they're infecting the doctors and nurses and other hospital staff who are the people that are on the front line trying to defend us, the rest of the population. Those are the people who should be having all the masks and all the emergency gear, but because of the people capitalizing on it, they're buying it all up and jacking the prices up and making it not available to the hospital staff, which to me is absolutely ridiculous. That is just plain stupid. And it's going to be the end of the world, or the end of America. It's capitalism in action right here. And I understand that America's a capitalistic society, but this shows you the one flaw that I think, one of the bigger flaws, is they would rather have people die to make a buck than help people, which to me, but then, they're going to be one of the ones that get sick and die. Then I don't know, I won't get into it. I know I'll probably receive some hate from that, but that is what's happening. I suspect that the numbers are going to get so high that all the states on their own, if the national government doesn't declare it, will end up declaring, state quarantine. Right now, we already have several states that are trying to quarantine, but it's obviously going to be hard if you're quarantined and the other ones aren't, and people are still traveling between states. So travel may end up being not available soon. And I'm pointing it out right now because right now, even though some of you are saying, hey, I can travel wherever I want, I'm telling you right now, if there's some place you want to be right now where you think it might be better, as long as your vehicle is safe, you might want to start making that journey. Because if you wait, every day that you wait is a day closer to possible quarantine and shutdown of the state borders. Because what's happening at this point right now, it looks like states are almost behaving like countries. All the governors of each state is responsible, and some are more responsible than others. Some governors are declaring an entire state emergency and shutting their whole state down. Other governors are leaving it to the county managers and the city managers to handle it on their own, which further divides the state up. Florida's like that right now. We have a governor who's not taking action, and as a result, the cities and the counties are on their own, and each county and each city is behaving differently. That's why Orlando, I don't know if you guys saw me the other week, it was behaving as if nothing was going on. People were all over the place in Orlando. Now, if the thing is highly as contagious as they're saying it is, and the death rate ends up being higher than what they're saying it is right now, see, that what they're doing is they're not testing people to try to keep the count low. But the reality is, if everybody starts dying from it, it's too late to stop it. Exponentially, it becomes huge and unstoppable at that point. The end result will be whole cities will have a lot of people wiped out. Lots. And that just makes me sad, because it's something that didn't need to happen. Didn't need to happen at all. It just tells me that some people that run into for government and stuff like that aren't really there for the people. They're there for themselves, and they're to make money and stuff, which is really sad. I do hope that wherever you guys are, that your governors, your county representatives or whatever are taking the appropriate actions and reactions. They're trying to calm the people down by having a real plan I do believe that quarantine at this point because nobody really knows. Let's just remove the coronavirus. Let's pretend it's the flu. If you quarantine people on the flu, it'll stop it, just like it would the coronavirus. And if the flu, they were saying the flu kills so many people. I'm like, maybe they've been doing this all along on purpose. The flu doesn't have to kill all those people either. If they were to initiate a quarantine when the flu season hits, okay, they could stop all those flu deaths that they get reported every year. And you're like, well, that would be very bad. I'm not saying you have to quarantine everybody, but let's suppose you had, I'm going to show you some technology or tell you about some technology that they have right now. And a lot of it you guys already know. If you use Facebook, you already know they have face recognition and stuff. They know who you are. Even if you change your hair, or you wear glasses or whatever, or you wear sunshades or whatever, they can still spot who you are by doing biometrics on you. So they know who you are and stuff. That's how good the technology is. Like it'll end up tagging, you put a picture up, and if you've been tagging your pictures, they'll start auto tagging everybody. And that's just on Facebook, okay? That's not even like super high tech stuff the government would have access to, because the government has pretty much unlimited budget as far as what it wants to spend on developing any technology, okay? But one of the things that already exists is temperature sensors. They can actually sense temperature from a video image using, I guess, infrared or whatever technology they're using. I don't know. I'm not one of the people in this field, but I do know they can basically look at a video image and they can tell pretty much the exact temperature of somebody. And you're like, well, why is that important? Well, evidently that's one of the big indicators. Okay, one of the bigger indicators, at least one of the ones that they're using right now to determine if you go in or not, even if you display all the other symptoms, is whether or not your temperature is, high, if you have a high temperature. So that seems to be one of the things they're using as an indicator. But if you were to basically set that up at places where people gather, like airports, train stations, subways, possibly even supermarkets, but I think that might be going a little too far, unless, the supermarkets want to do it. But when you have a temperature and you've been triggered, okay, they can actually, and some of you are saying, well, Big Brother, is here. Big Brother's been here, okay? Big Brother's just been using their technology to track your movements and what you do and everything, and then run an ad onto your phone. How many times have you been talking to a friend about something and you look down at your phone and sure enough an ad about that very topic or whatever pops up? That's what they're using technology for, is to get you to spend more money to buy bull crap, okay? But they can use that same technology to actually track you. Like, for example, I'm still expecting those tickets, when I was on the I thought it was the expressway, the HOV lane in Miami, but now they were saying, well, that's actually the Miami Express that you have to pay for. You have to have the Sun Pass. And what they do is they take a picture of you as you go through and a picture of your license tag. And with that, they can show who was in the driver's seat, and they can also show the tag. And they send you a bill, okay? That's how good that technology is. Well, with facial recognition, they can actually recognize you when you walk into any place right now. And they already know, not everyone, but those of you who have been on the internet, on Facebook, on YouTube, on social media at all, Instagram, any of these social media things, they already know who you are with that image that they took of you, which you consented to by going into the store. If they take your temperature, they can actually contact you through your email, and you're like, I didn't give it to them. They already know it, okay? Stop it. They already know everything about you at this point. Unless you've been hiding in the woods and haven't been. If you're watching my show right now, they already know you. They already know who you are, what you watch, where you go, how much time you spend, whether or not you skip my channel or not, whether or not you watch the ads, what kind of ads you watch. They already know all that stuff. They track all that. But they could take your temperature and actually email you and, have you go and check in to a hospital or whatever, and they can do further tests. And you're like, that seems inconvenient. If you think that's inconvenient, look what's going on around you right now in the world. Okay? If you catch people as soon as they show signs of being sick and you tell them to go get checked up, okay? And if they have, see, that's before they run out of testing kits and things like that. At that point, you're catching the few people that may have something before they spread it to everybody. So one, you only have a few people who are sick and contagious, and you have them controlled. You have them under quarantine at the hospital, where they have a nice room with air conditioning. The hospital staff isn't overwhelmed. There's plenty of room available. There's plenty of medicines available. There's respirators available. There's all the stuff they need to save your life. So it's a notification for you to go get checked out. It's a requirement for you to go get checked out before you spread it to other people. You can save a lot of lives. The technology is there. They're just not doing it. The technology is currently being used, I think, in the Asian countries, possibly in parts of Europe, but I think mostly in Asia. I don't think Europe's doing it yet. But they are scanning the people as they walk through like airport terminals, as they walk through the subway, as they walk around in different places. And people who have a temperature are basically being tested and quarantined. And that's how they're managing to control it. So my prediction, okay, even though I'm not an expert on it, the United States is going to eventually end up in total lockdown. Otherwise, it's going to go rampant, and Americans are going to die. More Americans than the rest of the world combined. And we're not talking a little more. I'm talking a sizable number. So I can conceive the whole United States shutting down, and that'll be a disaster. Because, see, parts already shut down right now, so it's prolonging it for everyone. I think on a national level, they really need to declare a national level and then, provide food and everything for people. Basically, make the stuff available and have people shut down all at once. Now, if possibly you might still have to leave, because, see, the people here aren't prepared because it kind of caught a lot of people unawares. So people don't have food and stuff. So you're still going to have to leave the supermarkets and stuff open so that people can access food. You got to leave resources. Like right now, I think it's screwed up that they shut down. They're shutting down like the beach indefinitely. They're shutting down the parks indefinitely. That means people have nowhere to go except like stay home, locked up. But it's not like they're going to be locked up for 2 or 3 weeks. They could end up being locked up for 2 or 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. Do you know what's going to happen to all these people? They're going to get sick, or they're going to explode. They're going to get cabin fever, and go nuts. People need to get out. That's why they built parks. That's why they have beach access. That's why they have all these recreational things for people to do. But with the way the system's being handled right now, they shut down all the recreational activities. They're making people go crazy. People become very short-tempered. People become very violent. They become like animals, and society's kind of doing that right now in certain spots by not making available the parks and things like that indefinitely. If they told the population, hey, we're going to get through this, we got to shut down for 3 weeks, everyone, in 3 weeks, because they know that the thing, usually plays out within 2 weeks, from the time you get exposure to the time that all the symptoms pop up and become severe, it's like 2 weeks, usually, within 2 weeks. That's how fast the people are dying. It's like you get it and 2 weeks later, you're dead. That's how fast it is if it affects you. And you're like, how come so fast? It stops you from breathing. Because you end up not being able to breathe at all. So shutting things down for 3 weeks or a month to play it safe, even though it would be hard, is better than shutting everything down over 6 months or 2 years. which is what I'm looking at if they continue on their present course. And, if you continue to allow people to shop and stuff, it's still dangerous. But then that means at the shopping places, the stores, you set up the temperature monitor, and you have hospital staff there ready to help them. If you tell people to self-quarantine and they're sick, most people, if they're notified that they may be contagious, like an alarm goes off and they've been notified, and you tell them they need to go check in, I'm willing to bet that 99% of the people will go check in because they know that they can die within 2 weeks if they actually have it. And that would be on the presumption that the testing is available and that when they go, they're going to actually get treated, not go and sit and wait to die, because that's what it seems like it's happening right now. But that's how you stop it. That's, I think, what they're doing in Asia right now, and that's how they're getting it managed. And they're kind of flatlining that curve. People are getting less and less occurrences or actually going away. It's going back to normal there. But they're not allowing people from America to go there because people from America are the most contagious ones now. Because they're the only ones that aren't being they're not being tested. They don't have a quarantine in effect. Personally, I'm looking around and I don't really see very many sick people. I only see, the quarantine affecting regular people. But from the Facebook feed, I've heard of some people that actually know somebody who got diagnosed with it. And it is serious. Prayers to those people. I don't want you to think that this isn't really a serious thing. It's serious enough that, the whole world kind of shut down. But it's not being taken seriously enough, I think, in America. And I think that's going to be America's downfall. We could end up having the highest fatalities, which is, to me, sad, because it didn't have to happen. Anyhow, I am going to sign out because I do have a lot of time, actually. I'm kind of early, but I'm going to try to work a little bit on solar wholesale to try to come up with some ads and stuff and try to put their package together so we can get word out and get some business going, because I think they need to. It's kind of bad timing to an extent because this is businesses are all messed up right now and people are scared. People are, in a panic mode. So a lot of businesses that are still in existence are struggling a little bit. Although I can see a solar panel place doing well, with people stocking up on things to generate electricity. Just like when I went by Express Tech Auto today, they were packed. I was like, yeah, what was encouraging for me is they actually had more mechanics. The last time I went, Tony and Marcelo were overwhelmed. They were just overwhelmed. But I went there today and I saw at least 2 more mechanics. I was like, wow, they got 2 more mechanics, which means that's good. That means they're able to service more people, and the place is reputable. So those mechanics are learning, from a reputable owner, Marcelo. So I think it's always important, like for master mechanics, somebody like Marcelo and even the guy that ran the self-service place in Orlando and stuff. These are mechanics who are honest and have been around a long time. They know what they're doing, and not only do they teach the junior mechanics, the younger mechanics, how to quickly, like Tony's got a lot of experience, but he still has to learn some stuff. But you saw how fast he diagnosed my vehicle, because he has less of a learning curve when he has a master mechanic than when he asks something. That master mechanic didn't even have to come look at the vehicle. He could tell what was wrong just by what the symptom was or what a certain thing looked like. He could just look at it and say, this is what's wrong. And those of you who are mechanics, you know what I'm talking about. The people who are experts on it, they don't even have to see it. They can just say, what was it doing? And you could tell them, and then 99% of the time, they already know what's wrong, and they can fix it in 5 or 10 minutes. That's where a mechanic is worth their weight in gold. When you find a good mechanic, they can diagnose the problem, the exact problem. Not one of those mechanics who go through and start changing out every single part, because that gets expensive. and you're changing out parts that didn't need to be changed out. So, those mechanics will eventually get things working, but they tend to be more expensive. A mechanic who knows what they're doing, like for example, today, the reason I was able to get my vehicle fixed for so cheap, even though Tony did tell me, I'll want to tune up and want to change out all the spark plugs. I had the issues before, and to save money, because I'm like, well, this is an old vehicle. I don't know how much longer it'll run. We'll go ahead and get cheap spark plugs and whatnot and get it done. Well, the cheap spark plugs ended up causing the trouble, that happened right now. But even with what Tony said, he said that even the good ones, he said normally when you get a spark plug, like a new spark plug, it should last like 30 to 50,000 miles before you have issues. You have to replace them. But then he said, because my engine is so old and leaking oil and everything, it might be every 10,000 miles. And honestly, since changing out the spark plugs, which I got the cheap ones, it's been about 10,000, maybe more than 10,000 miles. So, I don't know if getting good ones are going to be any much better. But he did put in, like he said, the recommended one, the OEM one, which was $6. The ones I bought were like $3 or $4 or $2. I don't know. I bought cheap ones. But he recommended that when I can, when I get some money and time, that I go ahead and have it get a tune-up where they replace all the spark plugs and new cables and stuff all at the same time again, just to ensure the vehicle doesn't suddenly have the problem like it did right now. He said when you replace one spark plug, it's not really the best thing to do. But it's obviously for a quick fix, a $30 fix instead of a $300 or $400 fix, So at least you know what's up. That's the kind of mechanic you want. They don't, like, you go in with a little problem. Like right now I had this little problem, and instead of him saying, well, we got to redo all of your spark plugs, we got to clean out the injectors, we got to replace all your wiring, that's going to be $600-800. I know some of you are listening to this and laughing because that's how it goes. You take your vehicle into mechanic, and it's always at least $800 to $2,000 is what they always quote you. And they're doing that because they want to redo the whole damn system. But when you get a mechanic like Marcelo and them, they will actually do what it takes to get the vehicle running unless you want them to redo the whole system, which some people say, well, why would you want to redo that? It's peace of mind and it should last longer, but they will be honest with you. And they will also look at your situation. It's like some mechanics, they won't do it unless they make $800 to $1,000 or $2,000. That's what they want as a minimum to work on your vehicle. Whereas you get an honest mechanic, they look at it and they go, well, this is a temporary fix. It'll get you running for a while, but it's an indication that you're going to have future problems here, but we can do this fix, which is just replace one spark plug. He didn't even replace the cable or anything. It was a $6 part. Okay. And not only that, he was willing to share the knowledge of what exactly was wrong, so somebody who's technically or not afraid to be a mechanic, their own mechanic, they can start to diagnose, what's wrong, like where to look and things like that. And if you've seen some of the stuff I shot at Express Tech Auto, those guys show exactly what they're doing. It's not like they tell me I can't film them. I can't, like some auto shops do. They let me film whatever they're doing, and they explain exactly what they're doing so that anybody can see they're not doing anything weird. They're doing exactly what they need to do to troubleshoot and get the exact problem fixed. And my experience with them has been always so far, they've been spot on spotting exactly what was wrong, and they fixed it, and the price has never been crazy, and they were even kind enough, I don't know if you guys were aware, they fixed the entire air conditioning system, which when I had a vehicle that had air conditioning issues and I took it to another mechanic, they wanted, I kid you not, this is an old van, they wanted $1,800 to fix an air conditioning system. That I think if I had known Marcelo back then, Marcelo probably would have did it for probably a couple $100 or less, because he would have known exactly what was wrong with it and fixed it. When I went in this time, I didn't really ask him to fix the air conditioning and stuff, but I let him know there was an issue, and that was like 6-8 months ago. They ended up fixing it for free. He charged the Freon, and I forgot what it was that he replaced. It was one little part. He knew exactly. Like he had the hookups and stuff and tested the pressure and stuff. He knew exactly where the problem was. When I was listening, I was like, maybe he's not really know what he's doing yet. But no, he knew exactly what was wrong. And he was able to fix it, and he actually absorbed the cost. That's the kind of guy Marcelo is, just so you know. And those are the kind of people that I try to associate with. Same with Tony, from Solar Wholesale. He is a business oriented, so he's got to try to make money. But honestly, if you look at his a little bit of a background, I haven't really given him a full interview, but I did talk to him to decide if I want to work with him. He explained that they started with recycling. He does metal recycling, and then they started seeing that people were trying to dispose of solar panels, which is really bad for the environment. I was looking at what it takes to dispose of solar panels, and evidently solar panels contain a lot of stuff that could be kind of toxic to the environment, believe it or not. You're saying, hey, it's green energy. Yeah, but what happens after the solar panels are no longer producing enough for a city or whatever, because a lot of these big companies or cities or countries, they buy a whole bunch of them and they set up like solar farms where they get literally hundreds or thousands of panels. That's where some of these panels are coming from. They're from solar farms and stuff. They have to produce a certain level of efficiency. And when they start to drop, they get rid of the whole set, whatever banks or whatever they have, however they do their thing, because they allocated money through taxpayer money or whatever for this project. They actually will get rid of all those by selling them to a wholesaler like Tony. Tony takes that stuff and then he resells it to people or even other countries, or whoever wants them basically. And they buy them at the wholesale price of used panels, which is roughly 1/3 to 1/2 retail of a brand new equivalent panel. Although, like I said, expect some power loss. It's not going to have the full wattage that it was rated at just because it's used. And I show you on some of my videos, I haven't shown you guys yet, it hasn't aired yet, what the cells actually look like. You'll see some of the panels look really, really good, and some of them have little hairline cracks or melted parts. So I suspect those cells are shorted and they won't work. So the panel will produce less power than it's rated at. I'm just hoping it produces enough. Honestly, if I produce anything at all, even at 100 watts, that's more than enough for this van. The van generates more than that off the alternator. That's where my main charging is, off the alternator. The solar is actually going to be set up as a trickle charger to fully cap it, fully max out the battery bank. And also, it would allow me during the daytime to run the TV without worrying about wearing out the battery, because it generates so much electricity that the TV, the fans, the video games can run. And one more thing that might be able to run on it is, I have the little portable, the cheap refrigerator consoles. They're not the Medic ones and stuff that run off, some of them run off compressors and stuff like that. Those are the better ones, but they cost a lot of money. The cheap ones use what do they call that stuff? I forget what it's called, but the cheaper ones, they use the metal. It heats up on one side. I forget what it's called, because I was going to build a little air conditioning unit out of one before. But you can buy those things, but they're normally used, I think, on computers to cool things down. But one side is hot, the other side is cold, so cold that it can make ice. That's what they use. And it doesn't use a lot of power, but it also doesn't generate a lot of cold. So what happens is they put those on the console coolers, and those console coolers won't get to freezing. It'll only get cold enough to go maybe 20, 30 degrees cooler than the temperature of the surrounding air. So that might sound like it get really cold. Let's say the temperature outside is 80 degrees. That means your cooler could possibly get down to 50 or 60 degrees. which really isn't that cool, maybe cool enough, but I don't know if it's cold enough. I don't think it's cold enough to keep bacteria from forming on your food. So if you're in 80 degrees, but if you're in Florida or anywhere where you have it in your car, it ain't going to be 80 degrees in your car. It's going to be more like 110 degrees. That means that little cooler, even if you have it on, it's only going to get down to like 90 degrees. Your food is bubbling and boiling in there, even with the cooler on max, because it's about 20 to 30 degrees cooler than ambient, the air temperature around it, not the outside temperature, but the air temperature around the cooler unit. And if you have it inside your car, it's going to be hot. If you've ever been in a hot sealed car in Florida, that was an idea I had, with the whole coronavirus. They were saying it doesn't like temperatures above 132 degrees Fahrenheit. The problem is if you sit in a place that hot for too long, you can die from heat stroke. But I was thinking, like, if you were having issues, as long as you don't overdo it, and you're in Florida, temperatures in a sealed car in Florida can get up to 120, 130 degrees, believe it or not. I know when it's like 80 degrees outside, I think inside my van, it gets up to 120. I don't know if it gets up to 130. I'd have to look at a temperature, a thermometer inside while the van is sealed. But if it got that hot, you could come sit inside your van for a few minutes. I'm not saying sit in there to the point where you die, because that's what people do. They leave little babies and stuff in the car and forget them, and then they die, or they leave a pet in the car and it dies from the heat because it got too hot. But if you sat in your car while the heat, while it's that hot, you could actually kill the coronavirus. Now, should you be doing that when you should be on a respirator and stuff? I think it's too late at that point. I think the time to do that is if you're just starting to feel sick, like you're showing some of the symptoms. You're not sure that's what it is, but we know that heat kills it. That doesn't mean kill yourself with the heat, but it means that you could kind of self-treat, which is what I did with the rice cooker and the steam. Some people think I was crazy to do that, but look at me. I'm like 100 times better. I still cough a little bit, but I think it's honestly, I think it's all the pollen and stuff in the air. I think it's allergies because I'm not displaying all the other symptoms. I did get a really cool buy the other day, though, that I'm going to try out. Do you guys know what this is? Do you know what this is? Can anyone guess? What is this? Does anyone know what this is? People talking about dinner. You guys talk about everything. Anyhow, does anyone know what this is? 5 points to anyone who knows what this is. This is called Perfect Pro, made in China, model MSCT 1W 770. Believe it or not, this is a space heater. It's got a little fan and a little handle. This thing is 1,200 watts, 1,200 watts, 1,200 watt unit. And I could run this off the inverter if I want it, not my inverter in the vehicle. The inverter in the vehicle is only 750. The inverter in the RV is 2,000, so it would be able to run this. But I wouldn't want to run this off my inverter, okay, in my RV, because it uses 1,200 watts. That means that I would drain my battery really, really fast using this thing. So I would use this at a park or something where they had a power outlet that I could sit down and plug this in. And when you plug it in and turn it on, it has this little fan. I don't know if you can see that. There's a heater coil and a little fan. And you could have it blow at your face. And you could breathe hot air. So it's like a portable sauna for your nose. And just don't put it so close that it burns you, okay? But you could breathe in hot air with something like this for a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes to try to clear your sinuses and stuff. Some people say that, I was reading some of the comments, and some people think that the coronavirus lives in your lungs and stuff, okay? They may. What happens, I think, is that I'm not an expert, so you'd really have to check with all the doctors and stuff that are actually studying this stuff. But a lot of stuff like flus and colds and stuff, they settle in your sinuses, the nasal cavities and stuff. And they make it, you feel congested, and then you trickle down your body's producing all that liquid there that trickles down and it gets into your lungs and stuff. And that's what starts to fill up. And that's what, makes it so you can't breathe, because you're literally dripping down your throat into your lungs. And that's what's, eventually when you cough, that gunk comes up. Well, that was all the drippings that went down into your lungs. And when you cough, your lungs trying to expel it out. And my honest feeling about it, whether it's the coronavirus or the flu or any other disease like that that's spread through bacteria and through germs, viruses and stuff like that, and if they settle in your respiratory system, okay, that's why it's important to get rid of it early. If you can detect that you've got that issue and you can destroy it early, you won't ever have that situation where it's producing pneumonia and other issues that have to do with breathing. They're trying to retag the coronavirus as SARS-2 or something, because it really is part of the SARS. I think SARS stands for something respiratory. I can't remember. But this is like that first SARS. Remember the SARS scare that they had a couple years back? But this one's in that same category. So if you hear them talking about SARS-2, it's really the coronavirus. It's like they're renaming it, but it's really the same thing. What else? I think that's about it. Let me check my time, because you know what? I want to buy food. And I want to make sure I get food before they close, because I don't feel like cooking right now. So I'm going to go ahead and sign out. I do hope you're all staying safe. Somebody was saying the A. angry says it runs along the membrane. The gunk is an attempt by lung cells to expel the virus. You're absolutely correct. That's why it's important when you cough or sneeze or expel that stuff that you cover with a. By the way, I bought a bunch of really expensive paper towels. See how rich I am? I have paper towels. I have toilet paper. I'm all set. Anyhow, when you expel that kind of stuff, it's important that you cover your entire mouth and nose so it hits the paper towel or the tissue paper, whatever you got to cover yourself. And then you throw that away, and you use hand sanitizer or wash your hands with soap and water and stuff. Very important, because the virus is being expelled from you because your body's trying to get rid of it. But if you have it, you're just spitting it on the floor or the ground or whatever, people are walking on it and getting contaminated. You get it on your hands and you touch a shopping cart. No, it's on the shopping cart. Somebody else touches a shopping cart. It's on their hand. Notice they're not sick yet. It's on their hand, but then they go to wipe their nose. Now it's going into the respiratory system, which is where the virus thrives. That's where the virus lives. If the virus were to sit and stay on that handlebar of the shopping cart, for like a couple days or a couple hours or whatever, it dies. Viruses are very pathetically weak. Really, they are. They're not even a full-blown cell. They're not like a full-blown living organism. They're just a partial living organism. They have to invade a cell and change that cell, modify it to contain the virus itself, and then it replicates in other cells. So, they don't live very long outside of a human body. So they're doing tests right now to see how long it lives on different surfaces and stuff like that. But the most important thing you can do is keep clean, folks. Wash your hands. Try not to cough on other people. Stay away from coughing people. Some people say, well, I'm coughing. Like, I cough too. And it's like, it's probably allergies. But still, I try to walk around with one of these. I walk around with a little paper towel or something. Carry some with me, But if I have to cough, I try to do this. It's all over this. Then I crumble it up and throw it away. And that's the way everybody needs to be if you want to try to contain this kind of stuff. I am going to let you all go. Those of you who are tuning in that don't know what's going on with some of the previous videos, just know this. You might want to watch those videos. The trolls and haters have gotten to the point where now there is criminal case and other stuff that may be pending. There is a civil case I'm going to be filing. I will let you guys know and let you know the status. I am going after at least one of them that I know for making personal threats and attacking like the businesses that I'm associated with. Police have contacted them. I am filing I'm filing several things, but I'll let them get served. So at this point right now, I'm not going to talk too much more about it. It will be served, and it'll go before a judge. There may be a criminal filing on top of that, and also I may be going for slander, and because all that evidence is there. The police have looked at it. They know, it's credible evidence, enough for them to act on it. And the parties in question, they will be served. I may have to end up issuing subpoenas to Google and all these other companies and stuff to basically get these people, because they thought that they could hide behind YouTube or behind Facebook because they think they're anonymous. That's how stupid they are. All that stuff is tracked, dude. I know exactly who you are, and some of them I know where they live. I just haven't been publishing it because I've been collecting it as evidence, and it's handing it to the police and stuff. And I'm continuing to collect stuff. Some people are saying you shouldn't be giving them this attention, giving them this opportunity. I want them to publish more stuff right now because it's just more evidence. The case is already opened. Police are already looking at it, and like what was so funny about it was they did the attack while I was dealing with the police. That's what was funny about the whole thing. So then afterwards, the police went to talk to them about it. So all this stuff is happening live, and that's what you were watching. So if you watch the broadcast, you hear some of the phone calls coming in. That was the police dealing with me and telling me, what can happen next, what I need to do, what I can file. So I may be going after some businesses because some of these people attacking me, they were people who tried to hire me as a representative for the company, and I turned them down because I didn't like their business practice, or I felt they didn't do things right or whatever. And because I rejected them, they started going after other companies, that wanted to work with me or whatever. So for those companies that did that, the ones that did that have businesses and stuff like that, I'm going after their businesses, and then they went after my YouTube, which is my business. And I can show that they affected it. They impacted my income. They impacted the income of multiple businesses. So, there's a whole potential bunch of lawsuits. That's all I will say. And I will let you know on my end what happens on this end, but I am planning on filing. And if it looks like the police and stuff want to do criminal, with the state, then we're going to file state. And some of it may be felonies. They might be federal level because they're from out of state. And some of them may be international, because some of them were actually people in other countries who think they can get away with it. But anyhow, all that is coming up. That is all legal stuff. So I'm probably not going to talk too much more about it. I am just letting you know the parties in question, they're already being contacted, at least one of them. And the fact is they're thinking that if they weren't contacted directly, they're safe. No, they're all linked. The IP addresses, all their communications, all their emails, all their postings, whether it's here, wherever they posted it, it's all logged. They don't even realize that. All that stuff's been logged, and all I have to do is subpoena. I subpoena it. They're like, well, I've deleted it. They can't get it. That's how stupid they really are. They don't realize that the fact that it got delivered to them meant that Google or YouTube or Gmail or Hotmail or whatever logged all that stuff. It's all on a server somewhere. All I have to do is subpoena it, and it goes into evidence, and I can show malice. I can show all sorts of stuff. So, I can even show, they were so bad, they were actually attacking my ex-wife and her new husband. So all that was logged and reported to the police. So, Lewis, you wanted this. You wanted to be famous. You wanted to be known. Well, now you're going to be known. And, you could end up on TV and your business could be on the line. So, those of you who continue to do this, understand this. You're not fooling anybody, and people actually know who you are. Maybe because they haven't responded right away. They were hoping you'd just go away. and you thought that it gave you power, you're an idiot, because they were just collecting evidence on you. And you've gotten enough now where you're involving at least local police, but it may end up moving up to national and federal at that level. My ex-wife has admitted certain situations. So that's the other thing. That's how I can prove slander. See, that what they did was they took the information that I published, you know, that told the story of how I ended up becoming homeless, a homeless vet and everything. And, you know, what happened with the state and all that. I had published all that information and people weren't really that interested in it. And it was sad stuff. I ended up ending that channel and removing all that stuff. But some of the haters and trolls, they went ahead and started distorting that information and started posting stuff on the internet, which is wrong. Okay. Because, you know, the media and stuff, they put whatever's up at the time, but they never follow up with what actually happened and what went down. So they started slandering me by spreading all these lies. Okay. Then they were doing it on my channel and on the Facebook. So I blocked them to try to end it and just say, you know what, ignore the trolls, ignore the haters. But they started physically calling people. Like when I would associate with Maurice, they try to track him down. When I associated with whatever company, and I have all this stuff like Solar, Wholesale, they went so far as to write fake reviews. One of them, Richard LaFleur, is so stupid. He's the mastermind that set the whole thing up. He went on there and he tried to post saying, well, you know, like do an innocuous statement saying, well, you know, it's cheaper to just order it through eBay because they're shipping so high. He tried to do that to say, well, he's not really going to address me and slander me because he was afraid of that. The problem is he used the same account where we can see him slandering and him telling all the other people to do that. He's the one who's in charge. So, you know, if this comes down to criminal stuff, we're going after him. You know, and if not, he's at least going to be publicized to show him for what he really is. So, you know, he thinks he's hiding and he's got all these different accounts. They're all under his name because he's so much in love with himself. And he has all these fake accounts. But I know who he is. Just because I haven't sat there and gone over there to expose him doesn't mean I don't know this stuff. This stuff's being collected for the police for a criminal case. So that's where we're at right now. And those that think I'm joking and stuff, well, I'm going to tell you, Lewis knows I'm not joking. And I'm speaking to you directly, Lewis. Lewis says, when the police called him today, he says, it wasn't me. I don't even go on YouTube. Dude, your IP was logged. It came from your house. The police have that. They're not stupid. But, you know, and then for them to say that I did, what they said is that I beat my ex-wife and all that. If it comes down to it, my ex-wife will go and tell the judge exactly what happened. She has a learning disability, and, you know, the way the system went down, shit was all messed up. So the whole point is I can prove slander. I can also prove, you know, the federal level. I think at a federal level, they have cyberbullying and stuff. We have enough evidence now that local police are involved in it that I can involve the federal level. So they can actually subpoena. It won't be me doing it. They'll be able to subpoena from Google. Google's not going to protect these losers. Because if Google does, then I sue Google. You know, I sue YouTube. They're not going to protect these idiots. So they thought they were safe. You know, using Google products, using Gmail, using YouTube, using Facebook, all that data was collected. And, you know, just for today, I went ahead and reported it, and the police wanted to verify, and they got in touch with one of them. So they know I'm not pulling bullshit, you know. So the others are coming down. I am going to serve them. They're like, well, he doesn't have my address. I don't need your address. I have enough stuff. I have enough of it, evidence right now that I can proceed, and I will be proceeding, and you're going to be named. And if something were to happen at all, okay, you have broken the injunction, which is now a criminal offense. You know, it'll be civil, and it'll be punishable with jail time. So that's what's going to happen. They won't even be allowed to watch my channel. You know, they won't be allowed to be on YouTube if that's what it takes. And they're like, well, how's he going to know I'm watching his channel? They still haven't learned, you know. If YouTube can track you and tell you what you're watching, what kind of ads would interest you, They can tell you if you've been on my channel, and I can tell you if you've been on my channel. So, go ahead and do it. I dare you. Because when the injunction's in place and you violate that injunction, you're going to find out what happens. But that's all I will say right now. It is filing. I am going to do that. I will follow you up. And if they end up arresting these idiots, basically, then we'll publicize it. I'll let people know what happens. I may go after their whole business. George is a real estate. I mean, not George. He goes by the name George. But I will go after his painting business, his real estate business, his new handyman business, whatever he's got set up. Because evidently he's trying to destroy my livelihood and the livelihood of all the companies that have been sponsoring me. And by the way, I do have more sponsors coming up. And that's why they keep attacking me, because no matter what they're doing, it seems like people are still coming. And people are still coming because, they can look at me and see I'm not lying. I'm not a bullshitter, And basically I say what, when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going after them. I have enough evidence. The police have told me I have enough evidence. It's all credible. The police have checked up on it. There's a real case pending. And all I need to do now is serve those people. So take care, everybody. Be safe. Don't let the bullies get to you. Collect the evidence just like I do. And I will show you how you can stop these cyber bullies. It is actually a felony right now. And so they have committed a real crime. And, with law enforcement pretty much telling me it's credible evidence and I can proceed, that means they could actually go to jail. And, and I'm sure that if they dig through their computers, they're going to find a lot more stuff, interesting stuff, more interesting than the stuff they've been posting against me on YouTube. So I already saw that some of them, when they heard that what was going on, they started deleting some of their comments on the solar wholesale. They started trying to remove their stuff. They're so stupid. That stuff's already logged. It's in the archives. It's already stored on the server. And I've already, you think that I haven't already logged all that stuff? I've already taken all the evidence and stuff and have it. That's why the police are in on it right now. And the police are actually collecting more evidence as we talk. Take care, everybody. Have a good night. Be safe. God bless you all. Stay safe, everybody. Bye-bye now.